What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are at the Gramercy Theater. We wrapped up an awesome interview with Orgy, and these guys just played a fucking killer set. Motor Grader's playing right now, but we are here with one of New York City's own, Brand of Julez. We finally made an interview happen.
I know, man. We've been talking. Alex and I have been talking about this for a long time. It's good to finally make it happen.
It's good.
Yeah, it's so great to finally have you guys here. Always my favorite interviews are doing it with the hometown heroes.
Hell yeah. It's good to be back home.
For sure, yeah.
Yep, only for you guys to go back out west in a couple of days.
for another 4 weeks. So.
Yeah. I'm just excited. We got a day off tomorrow, so I'm taking the train
which
back
usually never happens when we're on tour. So
I'm sleeping in my own bed for a day. Which is gonna be amazing.
Not a lot of bands could say that, and probably every other band on the bill hates you for saying
that. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but thank you guys for your time. Your latest record, which is Forward, which came out this past July. It sounds pretty good from what I've been hearing on stage and everything. How was the making of it?
It was a pretty long process because we did it with Joey from Life of Agony, Joey Z. So so it was great, but the process took a little longer because in the middle of the recording, Life of Agony's career just started boosting back up like crazy. So it was great for him, but it kind of sucked for all the bands that were recording because kind of put off a little time. But other than that, it was like one of the most amazing recording experiences we ever had. He's just the coolest down-to-earth guy to record with that makes you feel super comfortable while you're recording. So it was a great experience.
Yeah. Did working with him, because you guys, I mean, really have your own sound, but it doesn't really sound much like Life of Agony. So did maybe him working with you guys allow you to bring in some newer elements into Brand of Julez?
Yeah, he definitely produced on a lot of songs and added his own input, which we took into consideration, and we loved every part he put into the song.
Which is freaking awesome. Now, what I really like about you guys is that I've seen you play with many different bands. You know, the first time I saw you guys, it was on your tour with OTEP, and then you did an awesome run with Puddle of Mud. Now you're doing this run with Orgy, all fairly different. Do you notice maybe a different reaction depending on who you play with?
Yeah, and we kind of have to tailor our set a little bit based on who we play to. We just did a really long run with Texas Hippie Coalition, which of all the bands we played with, I'd say them and Puddle of Mud were like the best fit, where we could just go out and just do our thing and not worry about anything, because it just, their sound was similar enough to our sound, which was really cool. But everyone we've been on tour with has been awesome, so no complaints at all.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you had to adjust your set list, like, you know, Orgy being like a fairly like industrial band, but then again you have Motor Grader playing right now, which is very heavy. Do you think maybe like, okay, Motor Grader fans, let's play some of our heavier songs, Orgy, play some of our maybe more dance-like songs?
There's really only like one spot in the set where it's like 2 songs might swap out and then 2 might swap in. We know, I mean, all the songs sound like us, so it's not like we're gonna throw in a grindcore song or something like that, you know. Which
the ideas are popping.
It could happen. Yeah, I'm totally open for that. Yeah.
But what I found really interesting about you guys is that it almost seems like every instrument really does count. There are some bands that are a little more guitar driven, some bands that are a little more percussion driven, some bands that are very vocal driven.
Yeah.
Is there any part in the songwriting process that came first?
Well, most of it starts with him.
Yeah, it mostly starts with a riff and a melody, something that catches my ear and I bring it to the guys and they like it, you know what I mean? Recently working with Nick, we're starting to throw ideas together and bounce ideas off of each other, which is super refreshing for me. So I'm having a blast doing it, yeah.
So do you like sometimes write lyrics first and maybe kind of write the music according to that, or are lyrics just kind of like the last?
Lyrics are last, yeah, for sure.
And you can't really think of like a concept until you like
it usually depends on either a feeling or an emotion that I'm going through, or the vibe of the song. If it's like a heavy, faster driven song, you know, kind of vibe off of that lyrically. So it depends on the song, or depends on how I'm feeling in the moment.
Okay, interesting. Now for you, because you were absolutely shredding, and I know you think you had some technical difficulties tonight. I didn't hear it at all.
I appreciate that.
But your soloing was just absolutely incredible, and the way you were able to like totally, because it was very melodic, but it was very shreddy. It wasn't like you were doing like what some of the tech bands do, just do hammer-ons for like 20 minutes straight. Like, do you have to hear the song as a whole before you like incorporate a solo in there?
Okay, so it's an interesting, the dynamic with this band is interesting because up until this, it was always I played with my own band. And when I played with my own band, I did all the writing, all that kind of stuff. So the guitar solos and things like that, I'm not going to say they were secondary, but it was the song came first, and then it was about, you know, coming up with the extra guitar stuff. With this project, up until recently, everything, he comes up with every idea. So when he comes in with a song, I get to add what I want to add guitar-wise. And they're really cool about letting me do my own thing, but it's less of a, I get to compose my parts more, whereas it's not about just the song and the songwriting and the vocals and stuff like that. I get to actually really focus on what I'm playing, which is really, really cool. It's refreshing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I imagine working with him allows you to further incorporate.
It does, yeah, it does. Vocally and melodically, creating melodies. We were actually somewhere in San Antonio, and he like pulled out his acoustic and played a riff and a chorus, and right in the spot I wrote a chorus, and it's like, cool, we'll work on that when we get back home from tour. So it's like things like that are like super refreshing. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, one thing I definitely had to ask you guys, coming from New York City, you know, this is your hometown, so you better be nice when I ask this question. But, you know, I mean, New York City has so many different bands, and I've noticed with New York City, we have a rock scene, which I guess is not to pigeonhole you guys, but kind of like your style, hard rock sort of sound. But we have a black metal scene here, the hardcore scene, a death metal scene. So playing in New York City, I was just curious to what your take on the whole scene is.
Well, I love it. I mean, with any place you play, there's downfalls. I think one of the toughest things when you're playing in New York City is, let's say Orgy is playing here, well, Killswitch Engage could be playing 3 blocks from here. So it's, in that regard, it's tough because there's just so many tours that come through at the same time. Whereas if you're playing, you know, in the middle of a state in the Midwest, you're the only band that's playing there, so people come in from 2 hours away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's what, 3 million people in the city?
There's so much to do. There's so much to do in New York City that for one event to be by itself is never happens. There's always something going on. It's different kinds of music too, you know, hip hop, pop, you know, dance music, EDM, rock, metal, you know, there's so many things going on. So it's sometimes a little hard getting people out to come out to certain things.
I would say it's different. It's still awesome. That sounded like I was trashing it. We absolutely love playing here.
Yeah.
But the draws are.
It depends also on the day of the week.
Yeah.
You'll probably.
Right.
I mean, there probably will be some people tonight who are kind of like, "Oh, hurry up, come on, I got to work at 5 a.m."
Yep.
Exactly.
There is. Yeah.
Yep.
But, you know, it's really funny, actually, that you mentioned that, because November 3rd, we have Behemoth at the Gates, Wolves on the Throne Room playing at PlayStation Theater. You have Haken and Leprous at Highline Ballroom.
Exactly.
You have Daughters doing a sold-out show at Brooklyn Bazaar. You have Alcest, or Alcest, however you pronounce it, at Knitting Factory. You have My Children, My Bride at the Kingsland, all in one day.
And those are all not, I'm not going to say they sound the same, but that's a similar crowds that you're playing to. So, like, if you're in Brooklyn, it's like, well, I'm not going to go to Highline Ballroom if I've got an awesome show at the Knitting Factory tonight. Like, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And, you know, it's funny. Like, and the day before, it's that you have November's Doom at Knitting Factory, Unearth at St. Vitus, and Devil Driver and Ginger at Brooklyn Bazaar.
That's insane. That's insane. Yeah. Devil Driver and Ginger on tour together?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a kick-ass tour.
Yeah. But last thing I want to do is actually, because I was really impressed, I've noticed you guys have used a fairly different amount of guitars on stage. Definitely art gearheads yourself, so let's go over your weapons of choice.
Start with you.
So I use a Gibson Les Paul. It's my #1 guitar, and I use a Fender Tele Deluxe. Fender and Gibson. I guess I have expensive taste for guitars, but they're like my favorite ones.
Because you sing and play, do you have to have your guitar kind of adjusted to that?
It was more just like preference, just playing throughout the years. I played a couple different guitars. Recently on the last tour we did, I played an ESP, and great guitars, but I always find myself coming back to a Gibson and Fender duo. So it seems to be the thing.
Awesome. Please tell me that your choice is more aligned with mine. No offense.
Oh, it's fine.
So mine are, first of all, amp. I use the EVH, the 3rd generation 50 watt, best amp I've ever played, ever. Bar none. Put that on record. It's the best. Endorse me. And pedals are all MXR, which I just brought out the talk box on this tour, which is pretty fun.
I've yet to see a single pedal board without at least one MXR on it.
Yeah. It's all. I have 3 pedals on there. I step on. I have a chorus and a delay, which I didn't step on the entire show. They're there. They look cool. And then guitars, I have custom Schecters. Not like I call Schecter and they customize it. Like I buy a Schecter and then just totally gut it and just, it's fun.
No offense, but I like his gear better.
That's totally
Schecter is what
fine.
Disturbed uses. So.
That's totally fine.
And Event Sevenfold, and I mean now it's kind of like the guitar for rock and metal, which is awesome. And they're just great because I mean, can I curse?
Yeah.
I beat the shit out of that thing. I don't clean it. I sweat in it. I pour beer in it. All that stuff. I don't mean to do that, but it just happens. And they never break down ever. So for a road guitar, that's all I need.
Well, beer is actually a pretty good for the electronics. You should pour more of it.
Yeah, it's a good conductor. Yeah.
I think
might
next
take
time.
a shock from now.
Yeah, next time I think I should just use beer and
Really
just wipe down
improves
my
the
guitar
tone,
like
though.
that.
Now, in terms of, because you guys have a really good hard rock and roll sound, so I'd imagine you're not like a band that needs to tune down to like drop A sharp minor flat 7 or whatever the fuck like obscure tuning there is now, right? Like, are you guys in standard or something like that?
We're not
No,
standard.
actually, we drop pretty heavy. Our last song that we do, which is going to be a single that'll be coming out soon, our lowest string is tuned to A flat, actually. So and then
the rest of the guitar is not tuned down. The
no,
lowest
just
one.
the one string, which is which is an Ultra Bridge influence. So.
Yep.
So before we go, I want to thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank
today.
you, man.
It's so great to finally get an interview with you guys.
I'm very excited.
I don't know why the hometown guys are always the hardest ones to coordinate, but
We're never home.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're doing this awesome tour right now with Orgy and Motogrator. Forward is out. It came out this summer, so you got to promote the hell out of the record. You said you have a new single coming out. What else could we be expecting from Brand of Julez for the rest of 2018 going into 2019?
Definitely some recording and more touring in 2019. Definitely.
Yeah, do you have like stuff confirmed and you can't say with who?
Maybe.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
He utilizes his Fifth Amendment rights.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much, everybody.
Thank you, man.
We are here with my boys in Brand of Julez. Pick up Forward if you haven't already. Catch them on their tour with Orgy and Motogrator. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we'll see you next time.